Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. I hope everyone's having a fantastic week so far. There are 61 days until November 7th. This week we'll be checking in on the Kentucky political news of the week, including Mitch's doctor's note, Labor Day roundup, and then Doug Price is right about crypto mining. Then we're going to chat with Amber Hoffman and Destiny Kelley of TheRevolutionNKY. We're going to meet them over in the campaign corner to hear what the revolution is all about and why they're prioritizing sending Andy Beshear back to the governor's mansion on November 7th. But before we get into that, are you ready to help turn Kentucky purple? While political ads are trying to convince you that Andy Beshear is soft on crime, against churches, and single-handedly forcing your child to be transgender, this wave of negative ads are designed to keep people tuned out and disgusted with our political system. Folks, these are not efforts to inform and inspire deeper interest and engagement. We are not going to fix what's wrong with Kentucky with these ads or with this approach. That's why Progress Kentucky is excited to be a part of the Kentucky Future Project to build a political coalition of new voters, progressive voters, non-white voters who can come together to make our Commonwealth better. We are really excited to be working for the next 61 days with great groups like Planned Parenthood, the Fairness Campaign, Showing Up for Racial Justice, Hood to the Holler, and many others to turn out the new Kentucky majority and achieve better electoral outcomes for our Commonwealth. If you want to support our efforts, please make a donation at our secure ActBlue site. $5, $50, $500. It all adds up, and it's going to give us the materials and the resources, the tools we need to make a positive difference on or before November 7th. So let's check in with our co-hosts. Let us know who you are, where you are, and what your protest sign says today. I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Chilesburg in Lexington, where our skunk problem is out of hand, people. My dog has been skunked 3 times, and that is just truly unacceptable for the dog and for us, really. And let's see, my sign today says vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain, and listen to all your belly aching. I know you like to complain. I don't know if that'll fit on one sign, but maybe the font will be small. Doug Price, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm coming to you from Harrison County, Kentucky. And actually, I have 2 signs today. I'm wearing one, life is good. Then the other one, I'm going to flip over here where you can see it. Trump is not above the law. I know that's not about Kentucky, but I think it's a good sign.
91 charges to prove that he's not above the law. I don't know if that's the actual number, but it seems like right about there. Doug, what life is good? What are you protesting with life is good?
It's not really a protest. I guess it's just a overall general statement. I'm happy in life, but I know we have a lot of work to do to reelect Andy and other constitutional officers, and so we're working hard to do that.
But life is good. But it could be better depending on what happens on November 7th.
True.
Nice. All right. Excellent. Well, thanks again for joining us. Nema, are you there?
I am, and I am coming to you live from the Wood, also known as Kenwood, here in Lexington, Kentucky. And my protest sign today says, as every day, it says, Union Yes, and especially in honor of Labor Day weekend, brought to you by the working class. You're welcome.
Thank you for the day off. I appreciate that, Nema. That was well timed.
Yes.
Bit more of a break. Are you is the labor movement? Is it kind of like, no, really, you got to spend the day organizing to make up the most of Labor Day, or are you cool with a picnic and a barbecue?
I totally didn't do anything. That was my day. My day was, don't call me, don't look at me, none of this. I love y'all, but today I am taking the day. And it was really cool this year, to be actually working as an organizer for, a large union. I was doing this last year too, but this year it just kind of hit different. And, it was really kind of cool. I was like, man, this is really something special, and so it was just really different. And there's a lot of activity going on right now with a lot of people waking up to the fact that we need to organize and that a lot of the issues that we're facing in this country is because we have moved away from listening to the rank and file voice. And I think that's what we're seeing across the country here in Kentucky and everywhere, really. West Virginia is a great example. Louisville is a great example. University of Louisville. We're seeing a lot of that, especially in higher education right now. They've been getting crapped on for a while. We forget about that when we talk about the public education fight, but we cannot forget our higher ed folks because they've been feeling it for a while.
Yeah, there's a big fight in West Virginia right now, right? What's the update there?
So the update is that the staff have voted a vote of no confidence for the president, because I don't know if you all have heard, but they have decided to shut down a bunch of the programs at West Virginia University and get rid of positions and all these things. And so the staff today voted no confidence and voted to reject that whole plan. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, the staff is rising up and standing back and saying, this is just really not good for the university as a whole. And ultimately, it's not good for West Virginia, because as we're seeing, there's a lot more shutting down of these programs that just allow people to explore their own possibilities and their own beliefs and ideas. And, that's really part of education as well. Unfortunately, in this country, what we've seen more and more of is this push to shoot people out immediately into the workforce. So we're basically building people who are no longer short order cooks, but are fast food line workers. And there's a huge difference. I know there's a great documentary that Apple Shop did many, many years ago called Fast Food Women. And if you haven't seen it, I would suggest that you do. And it's basically about how when you start stripping away people's creativity and their ability to think for themselves, then what you really get is a really disconnected, undervalued workforce. And I think we're seeing that again. I think we're seeing a lot of regular folks just being pushed out to workforce and not being seen as actual human beings. And I think we're seeing a pushback against that, which is a long time coming, if you ask me.
Yeah, it does. It seems like more and more, the kind of movement to unionize is getting, momentum. It's getting attention. Unions are kind of more positively viewed, in the kind of public awareness and by polling than they ever have before, or in recent memory, certainly. And that's exciting. We saw Liz Schuller was in Louisville, AFL-CIO president. As you mentioned, there's some interest in, I think, Louisville, the university organizing there. We're seeing obviously the kind of a big impact in Louisville would be, the UAW strike, which I think they have actually, voted to go to potentially go out on strike if the, in negotiations don't move forward with the big three. And so Ford being a huge employer in the Louisville area, they see this as kind of, I think it's like one of those, SAG type situations where they've got to negotiate for the next generation, because the auto manufacturing industry is very much moving to EVs, right? So what was the transmission factory is now the battery factory. And if they allow for the Ford and others to treat the battery workers as different, then they're going to basically undercut their ability to have those good jobs into the future, right? So we're really excited about the announcement of the Ford battery factories, but of course, Ford is looking to take advantage of that opportunity to ensure they decrease make that a different level of job as opposed to the folks who are in the truck factory. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of, I think, awareness, but it's not like corporations are asleep at the wheel, right? They know what they're trying to get over on us as the working folks, and so I think it's great that the unions are in a good spot. I think the employment situation is such that it gives them a lot of power and leverage, right? Because it is hard to find workers right now. So it's an exciting time, I think, to see kind of what shakes out. And obviously, we've talked about this before, but the Teamsters win with UPS. I think sets a really great precedent for what labor can win from that ownership class, for sure. Doug, any thoughts on the kind of Labor Day holiday? How'd you spend it? Did you mow your yard?
Gosh, that's been like, 5 days ago? As low as I am, I can't tell you what I did yesterday.
It's not been 5 days.
I think on Monday, we recouped. We had our family over Sunday. We did fireworks, which is what we usually do 4th of July. So
that was
out.
You, Doug. So
that was me.
you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your pets, went up.
Labor Day fireworks? That's a thing? What?
It's a thing when you have a busy family and we can't get together on 4th of July. So,
like, damn it, we have these fireworks. We are going to light them off, people.
We are going to do it. There's no question about that. And we're going to have fun doing it too.
By golly.
Got all your fingers? Got them all?
Yeah.
Everything went off fine?
Got them all.
Were you smoking, Doug, when you were lighting? Did you have, because that would have only made it even better. Were you dangling a cigarette? Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say whether I was or wasn't. How about that?
What I love about the July 4th celebration, and the Labor Day celebration, is everyone wants to be out there. There are parades, there are picnics. I think the delineation between like legit labor politicians is the legit labor politicians go to the labor picnics. The Republicans go to the Labor Day parade. And I truly believe there should be a law against being allowed to march in a Labor Day parade if you've ever voted against raising the minimum wage. And all those hypocritical Republicans who are standing there with workers, on these Labor Day parades. It's just gross to see them. It's absolutely disgusting. These are the folks who brought you, right to work, right? Which is, of course, right to not organize, right to not fight for prevailing wage or other things, and they're celebrating Labor Day. It makes me want to like vomit in my mouth.
Well, I don't know if they even understand what Labor Day is at this point. Like, we've merged these things together so much. And, it always makes me insane when people get Memorial Day mixed up with Veterans Day. I'm like, it's not the same, and it makes me insane. And I really, I think that's the same way with Labor Day, as noted by Doug letting off fireworks on Labor Day.
There's confusion about these summer holidays, and they're just going to blur into one thing.
Just rolls them all in. Right. So, I don't know, but it's really kind of weird. And I agree I saw Kimberly just popped in. I absolutely agree that retail workers listen, you all have heard me say it a million times. Everyone deserves a union, period. End of story.
Absolutely. Great to see all the folks in the chat. If you are not watching on Facebook, if you're listening later to the podcast, that's a great way. We appreciate you listening on the podcast, but you do miss a little bit of the back and forth in the chat. So great to see you all. Thanks so much for tuning in. I know we've got a great couple of folks we're going to be talking to later that probably brought in some of their fans. So excited to hear from the Revolution later on. But did want to just touch base because out of the GOP celebration of Labor Day, because they don't know what it means or they willfully ignore what it means, and that is absolutely counter to their agenda. We also saw the absolutely completely disgusting t-shirt that Daniel Cameron is now selling on his website. And I just wanted to point out that anyone who thinks they would vote for Leitner over Beshear as a Kentuckian is losing the script. That is too much. That is too far. I'm all for having fun in politics. I'm all for some good fancy farm roasting, but you're telling me you're going to vote for Leitner over Beshear? That is a real problem. But I would say this, I think it's very much on brand. These are the folks, this is the same party that decided a violent coup was better than respecting our democracy and a legitimate democratic outcome. So I guess it makes sense. If they're willing to try to overthrow the peaceful transfer of power, then of course they'd vote for Leitner before they vote for Andy Beshear. But I think it's gross and I think it's wrong. And I'm not a huge Wildcats fan, but I live in Lexington. I live in Kentucky. I know what's important here, people. And that is that's a bridge too far for me, folks. What do you think?
they just totally ripped that off from like 4 years ago. I mean, how unoriginal. Like, first of all, if you are going to steal something, like I jokingly said they were going to steal the Daisy ad from like the Johnson years and be like, this is, amazing and, cutting edge. I mean, you steal something from the Bevan that we did. Like, I believe it might have been Kentucky for Kentucky that did that initially. So not only are you stealing something, you're stealing something from a local small business who you claim to love. They should be giving them a kickback, if you ask me, something. I don't think Kentucky for Kentucky would want it, but still. So you've got that. So they can't even come up with their own creative stuff. So they're stealing it from 4 years ago. So you've got that. Then apparently the kid wearing it is worked. Like, I guess his daddy is Steve Meredith, who's in the Senate and was a big buddy with Bevan. So there's like all this intermingling of all these things. And I could be wrong on that, but I think I read that. And then here's the other question. And Doug, I'm going to let you talk about this. Why is it that in all these pictures I'm seeing, it's the end of the season, right? Summer's coming to a close. Put that picture back up, if you don't mind, Annabelle. Why are all these Republicans pasty white? Have they never seen the sun? Look at them. Look at this kid. I mean, is he sleeping in like a closet by his toes, upside down? What is going on? And if you look at all of them in these pictures, they're all like they've never seen the sunlight. I'm concerned about their vitamin D intake at this time. I mean, it's been summer, right, guys? Do they not leave the office? Like, what's going on?
I don't really know what to say. Leitner, I would never use, I hate to even say the word. And we see that word too many times during March Madness. And I don't know, it would not cause me to want to vote for anybody who even uses that name. So.
Yep.
It's just so pathetic.
Clearly that man does not mow his own yard, is all I'm saying.
Right? I'm like, have you stepped outside at all? Yeah. Woo! I don't know what's going on, but if I've been looking at those pictures, I'm like, woo, buddy. Like, y'all didn't even go to the lake this year? Like, what? Yeah, it's weird, y'all. Weird.
So I think we need to move on. We got a story I want to touch on. Doug's got something he wants to touch on. And then there actually is a Doug Prices Right. So we got some work to do, people. We got to cut out the chit chat. I just want to make sure everyone knew. So Glitch McConnell, we've seen the two examples of him inexplicably freezing. They have no excuse. They have no reason. But his neurological team has never a good sign when you've got a neurological team, folks, right? But turns out he's okay. We got a note from the doctor that he is good to perform his duties. No signs of a stroke or a seizure. So if you are a Republican shark swirling Mitch's seizing body, maybe back off for a second. I don't know. It definitely seems like this has gotten a lot of attention, which is a huge one. So I know, Nema, you had pointed something out about it. I wanted to get your take on it.
I mean, I just think it's tacky, Aaron. Where I grew up, my mom would always say if something was tacky, that was it. Like, that was it. That was the worst thing you could be. And, this man, like him or not, he built this Republican Party of Kentucky. And I just think it's sad. I think it's sad to see them all like measuring the window treatments in his office before he's even in the ground. I just think it's tacky. I don't think this is being very honorable way to respect this man and his legacy. And, it's just sad. It's just really sad to me.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not excited for Mitch to be around one day longer. But you'd imagine the folks whose party it is, right? As you said, he like built the party. They named the building after him or whatever, the new building that's, millions of dollars and, dirty money is going to create it. Pfizer money, which I love. But yeah, the idea that they're going to like just roll over them immediately seems pretty just painful to watch, I guess. But that's their party. That's what they do. All right. So Doug, you'd weighed in last week in the Pine Mountain settlement school and the fiasco that happened there. You wanted to kind of touch back on the issue. What's going on now?
Yes. Last week I reported on the problems incurred by the Waymakers Collective when they held a meeting at the Pine Mountain Settlement School. A group of locals were very upset the Waymakers group had set up a reflection area in the church. Here's a statement by the Waymakers Collective. Our group was told they did not belong there, that we were desecrating the Christian space, and we needed to leave right away. We were shocked by this, as we had rented out the entire campus of PMSS and were treating the property with respect and in the manner we had communicated to PMSS prior to our event. However, our group was now being told by the people who entered the chapel that we did not have the right to be there. The people who entered the chapel, 8 to 10 local people, including ministers of local churches, both men and women. On September 1st, the executive committee of the PMSS board issued a statement basically stating they were reviewing the policies related to the usage of the properties, the church, and would announce any changes, etc., after a review with input from others. I'm happy to see this and am hopeful that the new policies will include information to make sure that rogue actors can't force their beliefs upon organizations that reserve the school for meetings. Jerry Roll, who is the CEO of the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, weighed in on the matter in an op-ed, and in my opinion, tried to walk the middle line. She stated that she wished the group had not tacked up a placard of the sign above the cross in the chapel, and that she wished the men and women from the community hadn't shown up in trucks and four-wheelers with puffed up chests. From all appearances, the Waymakers group got into trouble with the locals due to their use of the sign, along with having a reflection area set up in the church's chapel. Is a Sanskrit word and ancient mantra often used in the practices of Hinduism and Buddhism, along with other faiths. And of course, it's sometimes chanted 3 times at the start and at the finish of a yoga session. I think the PMSS board should not allow anyone to disrupt an approved meeting that is taking place on their facilities. In my mind, they should not allow mob rule and should do more to let the public know that this kind of action will not take place again. I think they should apologize to the Waymakers Collective and let local authorities know that future disruptions will not be tolerated. Lastly, seemingly many people these days adopt a my way or the highway frame of mind. We need to share opinions, but don't get puffed up. That's the end of my story, and I'm ready to go into DPIR.
DPIR. You're speaking in some kind of code. You mean?
Rest in peace shout out for Bob Barker, who died at the ripe old age of 99. The original Price is Right. But tonight I have another edition of Doug Price is Right, referred to as DPIR. In May of last year, I did a segment on crypto mining in Kentucky. I noted that China had stopped crypto mining operations in 2021 because it was too costly and took too much electricity. At that time, Kentucky had crypto mining operations in the Paducah area, in Belfry, and in Martin County. The EPA reported that Kentucky is home to nearly 20% of the collective computing power of the country's proof of work cryptocurrency mining operations. Kentucky produces more carbon dioxide pollution from cryptocurrency mining than any other U.S. state and has the second highest carbon intensity for crypto mining of any state. Also, I reported that Alliance Resources, a familiar owner, Joe and Kelley Craft, was trying to get approval for a Bitcoin crypto mining operation in Union County. We've had Lane Boldman on several times, the executive director of the Kentucky Conservation Committee, to talk about these issues. According to an August 29, 2003 article in the Lexington Herald Leader, the PSC approved the Union County operation earlier this month, but turned down an operation proposed in Lawrence County. This operation was proposed by Kentucky Power Company, and the owner was eBon, a company based in China. That's right, folks, China, where they have outlawed crypto mining operations due to the cost of electricity. The company planned to build a facility that would use up to 250 megawatts of power, enough to provide electricity to 25,000 homes. Here's a little info about eBon. Actually, eBang International Holdings is a blockchain technology company with strong application-specific integrated circuit chip design capability. The company seeks to launch a professional, convenient, and innovative digital asset financial service platform to expand into the upstream and the downstream of blockchain and cryptocurrency industry value chain. The proposed crypto mining facility in Lawrence County has long been opposed by detractors, including multiple environmental groups, utility rate watchdogs, and the state attorney general's office, all of which contended the facility would raise electricity rates locally. Hardworking people shouldn't have to pay higher utility bills so that a cryptocurrency company can get millions in subsidies they don't deserve. That's a quote from Tom Smarr, who is an Earth Justice attorney who helped multiple groups coordinate their opposition to the proposal. Interestingly, the subsidies were approved in 2021 when HB 230 was passed along party lines, which means by the Republican-controlled legislature, to offer financial benefits to companies to open crypto operations in the Commonwealth. Maybe a shout out to Joe Kraft. The bill's primary sponsors were Stephen Rudy and Chris Freeland, both representing parts of McCracken County, and Patrick Flannery, who represents parts of Boyd County and Carter and Lewis counties. The PSC order noted that Kentucky Power did not have the generating capacity to provide the power to operate a crypto mine. Kentucky Power noted that the company would buy the power from other companies. All of this sounds like a setup for a disaster, resulting in higher rates for we the people and benefiting a foreign corporation. I say kudos to the PSC. Additionally, the PSC will rule soon regarding LGE/KU's proposal to replace the current aging generation systems with 2 natural gas combined cycle facilities, 2 solar facilities, 1 battery storage facility, and 4 solar power purchase agreements. If approved, the replacement generation would be online between 2026 and 28 at a cost of over $2 billion. Hopefully, the PSC will take into consideration the environmental problems with this proposal and vote it down. That's the end of my DPRR. We'll send you another segment in the future.
All right. Doug, thank you for that rundown of the crypto mining fiasco. Amazing to see the PSC put their foot down even after the legislature passed incentives to bring more of it to Kentucky. I'm sure there's some folks who are a little bit annoyed that their power was ignored. Trent Garrison's in the comments and notes that Brandon Smith is a huge advocate of this. So definitely, you describe the situation, and I have a very hard time seeing who is it good for, right? Crypto mining and like, hey, let's just burn a bunch of coal to create the energy we need to create cryptocurrency because we need to have cryptocurrency. I don't know. The whole thing seems a little odd to me, but thanks for digging in on it, Doug. All right, we're going to move now, I think, to our campaign corner. Really exciting time. We've got Amber Hoffman and Destiny Kelley with The Revolution Kentucky joining us. If you heard earlier talking about the Kentucky Future Project, this is the effort to make sure that we're getting the new voters, more voters out to the polls in November to really create the kind of progressive future for our Commonwealth that I think we all agree is needed. And the Revolution is one of the groups working collaboratively to ensure that we do that outreach and that organizing. So really excited to have them on and hear from them about what they're working on. So guys, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Maybe you should do a quick introduction. Let us know who you are, kind of where you are, because you guys are two different chapters of the Revolution. So maybe one of you can tell us about the Revolution overall, and then describe your subsequent chapters.
Okay, so the Revolution Kentucky currently consists of two chapters: Amber, which is Northern Kentucky, and then mine, which is CommunityForward. And independently, we initially existed as indivisible chapters, but they don't really like to do state politics, and that is where Amber and my passion lies. So we started our own C4 together, maintained having separate chapters because we focus on different problems that directly affect our specific communities. But we're still, we're one organization that's got three branches that we're working on legislatively, I guess. Amber can tell you about the branches. She'll fill that in.
So the three branches and just to explain a little bit about the names. So Revolution, Northern Kentucky, the name Revolution works really well in Northern Kentucky, but may not be as receptive in Central Kentucky, which is where Destiny is located. So I cover Northern Kentucky, Boone County, Campbell County, and Kenton County. And then Destiny covers, is it Shelby County?
Henry County, Shelby County, Carroll, Trimble, and Owen. So I'm predominantly all rural, one stoplight towns, just a lot of them.
And so our three branches of progressive revolution for Kentucky that we're aiming to initiate and really dig into are the revolutionizing the economy in Kentucky. The big way that we're looking to do that, if you can see my shirt here, we want to legalize, decriminalize, and maximize marijuana in all of its forms in the state of Kentucky. The economic benefits alone is a good reason to do it. We are a cash crop state, and we have been in the past, and we are the perfect place to capitalize on this market. And economically, Kentucky would benefit so much. And using those funds to revolutionize the next part of our initiative, which is revolutionizing the people of Kentucky through initiatives like injecting public funds into public education and healthcare access, especially for the rural areas like where Destiny is located. And this is where our branches differ a little bit. She focuses very heavily on harm reduction in Central Kentucky. And that is, doing a lot of collaboration with the health departments and getting Narcan accessibility out to the public. And then the third branch that we are currently working on is revolutionizing the energy sector through different primarily solar power is where we're going to be looking for our next initiative. So one of the things that we want to do with that is start getting solar power to people in low, no, and medium income families in Kentucky. So those are the 3 branches of what the revolution is currently about.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add to that, Destiny, that I missed?
So the way these work for us in campaign season, like year round, we campaign for these policies, educate our communities on how we can directly affect our own specific communities. And then when the election came around and we got asked to join the Kentucky Future Project, obviously we were all in because Andy supports absolutely every single one of our initiatives and everything that we stand for, as does Colonel Pam, who we've also endorsed as just our own independent endeavor. So
we love Colonel Pam. Big
it was
fan.
a natural fit because of what we do year round, why we wanted to join the Kentucky Future Project this year.
That's awesome. So yeah, it sounds like legal weed. Obviously, Andy has been an advocate for kind of legalizing medical use, but you think your point about it being a cash crop, that's demonstrated to be true, although it's challenging with the current political landscape. This is again one where Nema, I think we have to give Mitch his due, making hemp something that can be grown in Kentucky. Mitch McConnell, made that happen. Clearly, it was not the replacement of the tobacco crop, and it certainly wasn't the guaranteed cash crop that tobacco was for our farmers. But it sounds like you guys are going beyond just the medical treatment. You're into legalizing the whole thing. Is that right?
That's right.
We're for recreational. And actually, even with it illegal in Kentucky, we're one of 5 states that produce 90% of domestic grown marijuana. So we're doing it anyway. And
give our farmers their due.
Yeah, exactly. My personal opinion, not our org's opinion, is that if we make the farmers poor enough to sell off percentages of their crops to corporations or sell off their land to, some lobbyist somewhere or something, that's when it'll be legal. When they own enough of it to where we don't benefit from it. And, but we're the ones that deserve to benefit from it. We're the ones that have done all the work on the land. Our farmers have worked these lands for pennies, for the amount of labor that they put in. They deserve that payoff, not someone sitting in an office that, just waits until they own enough of the land to say yes. It's a no-brainer to me. And that's how I try to talk to the rural communities about it. Like, you're losing out on almost $1 million in profit an acre. Don't let them make you wait until you have nothing left.
Amen. And then you mentioned solar. So we've had Adam Edlin on the show to talk about solar and some of the bigger projects that they are working on with Edlin Renewables, some of those kind of larger scale solar projects in Eastern Kentucky and elsewhere. But you guys sounds like you're focused on, kind of more rooftop solar and making sure that that's accessible to the folks who could directly benefit from that decrease in the electricity bill that those solar panels bring about.
That is exactly right. We're focusing on residential individuals that would benefit the most. And just, we are just regular moms who work regular jobs. So we know how beneficial it would be to not have an electric bill every month, and to even, go one step further and have utilities company paying me, potentially a couple of dollars a month for the additional solar that I'm providing. I think that would be revolution for a Kentucky family. You're able to do birthday parties, you're able to get Christmas presents, you're able to go on vacations, you have expendable money for the first time in your life. And that is life-changing for individuals. And I think that we need to be pushing that for the most vulnerable people in our community. So that's what we want to do with it.
Yeah, our purpose as an org, the reason why we kept our separate chapters is because we want to keep it personal. Like, what does my community need? What does Amber's community need? Hopefully, we'll get a couple of more chapters. You know, we would love a Lexington, Franklin County area to join us. But, you know, like, what does your community need? Because we all like agree on these same 3 or 4 things, but we need it in different ways, or we need to approach the community in a different way about it. So we're able to accomplish one goal and collaborate together towards that goal in unique ways.
That's great. Very cool. And then, so for the election, and I'll ask you this question, then I'll let my co-host jump in and ask some questions. But so for the election itself, like, what's your strategy? How are you, kind of getting behind Andy and Colonel Pam, and what kind of work are you doing to help connect your members to November 7th?
We are canvassing. We're knocking doors all week, every weekend, depending on where you're located. I do primarily weekends, and Destiny does throughout the week as well. And then we are starting our phone banking campaign as well. So, I've kind of made it like my weekend ritual to go out with my daughter every weekend and knock on, 150 doors, just drive around Boone County. And that is how we're trying to connect with the community, is by meeting them where they're at.
And I'm a single mom, so I go canvassing when my kids are at school. And we host our meetings on a Zoom at 7:00 because we know everybody's got, baseball games and things going on. And with it being rural areas, you all know not a lot of people want to get out here with us. So it's really me and Amber beating the streets. We've been out here since June. We knew we had to get started early. So I think we've knocked probably close to 600 doors now, just Amber in her area and me in my area. The phone banking idea that we have is we want to do like a flex banking. So if anybody wants to phone bank with us, we can give you a phone bank that you can work off of over the course of an entire week, anytime that you want to, anytime that you're able to. And then once a week, we'll just, get all that compiled together. But we want to make it where people like me and Amber that have a million things going on can still pitch in. Or like this month, we have our dollar drive. You can win like merch, like our T-shirt and some of our fancy farm souvenirs. But just donate $1 and you're doing your part. Like, it literally takes a village. We all got to put in our 2 cents and we'll have $1 million, So.
Awesome. So yeah, what in the doors you've done, and we did our first doors this week. So Doug and I went out along with a couple of other supporters, went out and did some direct voter contact, as they say, and knocked on doors. And so we're getting started. You guys definitely have a head start, but we're gonna work hard to catch up. So
I bet y'all got a few more people though.
Lexington's population is pretty big. We're doing what we can to recruit them to come on out, but everyone's busy on the weekend.
Do know.
you know what we're talking about here. The excuses, they pile up. But
it's so hard. It's always so hard to get people to knock on that first door. But at least personally, like, my experience with it has been overwhelmingly positive. I've been doing it for several years in different aspects, and I love knocking doors. I love meeting the community, even whenever it's somebody that isn't necessarily looking to speak to me. Still a great, pleasant experience. People are always like, "Oh, thanks for coming all the way out here just to say hi." So, like, I think it is an awesome thing. I hope that more people will get out to the community. It's a great way to meet people. The last time that I went out, I was talking to a gentleman who was just over the moon to talk to somebody, and his first words were, "You're the first person that has been here. Where have you been? Like, we have not been contacted in so long." And honestly, he thought that we were just scared, like people were just scared to come out this far. And I'm like, no, well, I'm here, call me. So it's been a great experience. I highly recommend, if you haven't tried it, go out and do it. come do it with me in Northern Kentucky.
Awesome. Doug or Nema, any questions or thoughts you want to add?
I'll let Nema go first.
I was just going to ask how you guys started doing the work, like how you all decided it was time to get in the game, because I think everybody comes at it from a different, there was always that one moment where you're like, screw it, nobody else is saving us but us. And so I was just kind of wondering what brought you all into this kind of work, because it's not, not everybody's like sitting around one day and is like, I don't have enough to do. I think I'll go ahead and jump into this.
Well, we're both paralegals, actually. So we're in the legal field, at least to the extent that we're argumentative, But I was day 3 Breeway and protested with them and learned from people like Shamika and Shonda and Chris Wells. But it was it honestly is one of the greatest periods of my life, because I made so much family and we made so much change together. But how do you stop doing that? And how do you come home to somewhere that's so rural and so not politically educated factually, and just ignore all that happening around you and ignore that your kids are going to grow up here? And so I just kept doing it. I just kind of didn't stop doing it. And Amber and we kind of started backwards. We caught up on the paperwork and cleaning off the rough edges to turn it into something that was more than just fighting them all the time. We just started going to Frankfurt to legislative session. They're open. We just started showing up. We started writing our name down to speak. And like a year and a half later, we're on the coordinated campaign. And now how do you go home, So, so next year we're going to flip state rep seats like it's our favorite thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, and so I'm sorry, it was the Breonna Taylor protest that really kind of got you mobilized, and yeah.
I have the best friend in the world, and from that, and they taught me so much about life. I love them. I hope they're watching. I love all y'all.
That's awesome.
So mine's a little less I'm not sure what the right term is for this. It's still very personal. I got started in this arena in 2016 as a result of Donald Trump getting elected, specifically whenever he started targeting children of immigration, the concentration camps, as I refer to them as, that were being set up for kids. That was my moment where I was like, this is too much. I can't sit back and not do anything anymore. So I started looking out, trying to find different organizations that already existed in my area that I could get involved with. I did find Indivisible. I worked with them very closely, a chapter here that was here. Previous, we did tons of protests of Donald Trump's personally. We did vigils for the children of immigration. We, that transformed into Black Lives Matter. And so in my area in Boone County is not an area where people show up and protest very often. But we have a small group of ragtag people that show up on Mall Road and Florence, and we will go out there. We've been out there now for, women's rights several times. We've been out there for Black Lives Matter. Any opportunity to get out and let people know what's going on, we try to make that happen. So that just built over time. And a friend of ours, Alex Bearling, actually was like, Amber, do you want to do the revolution with Destiny while I run for office? And I was like, for sure, I'll take that over for you. And me and Destiny actually did not meet until we were running this together, had not met for at least a month or two. And then we did Pride in Northern Kentucky, and she came up for the Pride Festival, and it was like meeting my soul sister. Like we just went into a routine and have been, a machine ever since. And it's been great.
That's awesome. And Alex is in the comment section. Seems like also want to underscore that they're trying to stop Moms for Liberty, which very valuable, very important work there for sure. But really great to just hear, what brings you to the fight, and the kind of support you show for each other, which I think that's really important, right? There's not a lot of positive reinforcement when you're like trying to juggle activism on top of all the other things we all have to juggle just to be humans functioning in a society, right? So the fact you guys inspire one
it's a
another is
little
really important.
scary sometimes, coming into the rural places. I'll make Amber come. I'm like, I'm tabling for my first time in this county. You have to come with me today. But everything that we've done has been positive. I'm telling you, like people are
extraordinarily receptive to
agree on the same things. We agree on 60% of the same things, and the majority of it involves like just let people be, just let us live, stop making money off of us and capitalizing on our poorness.
Stop trying to censor our children.
Yeah, give us a future, please, and I think if we could just drop the colors off of everything and just policies, not politics, we would all,
be better off.
Yeah, we would get somewhere.
Well,
I do want to just mention on the Moms for Liberty. We didn't really touch on that. That's personal to Northern Kentucky mostly. We have Boone County and Campbell County both have a chapters of Moms for Liberty. If you're not familiar with Moms for Liberty, is a hate group that has been labeled as such by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They are the driving force behind a lot of the legislation that came through, SB 150, SB 5. They have gotten books banned from Campbell County schools. They have gotten books out of certain schools in Boone County. So when I say I'm knocking doors, a lot of times I'm talking to educators right now, educators that are scared to death about what is happening with SB 150. Up in my area, I have a meeting. My board, the superintendent of Boone County has been calling me off and on all day today because I sent a very, very strongly worded email to him, and have been telling the community to do the same. And I think that they have, and he's finally understanding that I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with what's happening in Boone County with the implementation of SB 150, but it is not pretty. And so that's another thing this is part of the personal part for me is I am at these board meetings. I am talking to these people. I'm on the SBDM. I'm a district ambassador. I am in the schools trying to find out why they're doing this. And I'm pleasantly surprised to let everyone know that most educators hate this. They don't want anything to do with it. And so that is another big thing that we are currently engaged in as well.
Well, that's really important work. Obviously, we've done a lot of work on tracking SB 150. Obviously, fighting, unfortunately, unsuccessfully. But now I think really it's important we educate the school boards like what they actually can and can't do with SB 150. And it gives them, there's latitude there. There's flexibility. It doesn't force them to be horrible. It just, forces the state to not force them to be enlightened, right? So it's kind of up to them as to how they want to deal with it. So this is wonderful stuff. Doug, I want to give you a chance to ask a question before we have to.
Sure. Let me say this first. You all are amazing. We need to figure out a way to clone you all and have 5,000 of you all working on these things. I looked at your website, the CommunityForward, and I saw something on there about your survey about did you not vote in the last election? Mm-hmm. Not voting is something that really just makes me mad, and I'd be interested in knowing the results of that. I think that would be interesting. And the other thing I want to mention, I saw your banned book wish list. Is that Explain a little bit about that.
I'm so glad that you asked.
Our band book wish list is just an ongoing thing that we're doing. We're going to collect books through December, and then we're going to stuff kids' stockings in Amber's community and our community. And we're hoping to put a age-relevant band book meaning Banned by Moms for Liberty in a school district. And actually, Amazon has a banned book section. So if you just want to be a little rebel and go pick a banned book, in protest on your own as you're reading, they have an entire section of books that have been banned. And I just felt we just only buy books from the banned section, So ultimately, yeah, we want to stuff some kids' stockings with like candies and maybe a little toy and a banned book.
We're also looking
we're
at
protesters at heart.
We're also looking at some initiatives with the library. Hopefully we can get in and do some story times where we're reading books. For instance, one of the books that is banned is the Lorax. So it would be great to get 25 copies of the Lorax, go and do a story time reading of it, and then pass them out to the community, to all of the children that came to hear it. So it's another one.
I love the My Color is Purple book. I think that is like the best children's band book out right now. But also like The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, that's banned. I remember when my daughter brought that home in middle school, and I cried every night reading it as an adult. And I'm like, you should not read this book. It's going to make you sad, But like, it's
important for, Anne Frank is another, the Diary of Anne Frank is another one that's banned.
You need to feel that. If you forget what it feels like, you're more apt to just do it again, But you need to remember those things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for joining us. Thank you for the work you're doing. We got a couple of links, I think, to share so folks can kind of keep informed, keep supporting your work. And, just glad to hear about, our allies across the Commonwealth who are working hard. One thing that, I just appreciate that, it's tough to be an activist. We want to lift you up and give you the support you all need because it's important. But I do also point out we had a question in the comments section that I kind of rolled over and missed. But Connor Johnson wanted to ask about net metering back for utility companies in Kentucky. And I want to point out, Connor, it didn't actually ever go away. As much as we were fighting a bill, the bill actually put the net metering decision back to the PSC. So they would set the rates for, the credits, and the rate that the PSC set is actually pretty good. So it's not a straight one-to-one credit, but it's a very good net metering program right now. Of course, it does hinge on having good members of the PSC. That means we need to have good politicians appointing them, yes. Which gets back to what are you doing between now and November 7th? And you should help out this crew for sure in their efforts to make sure that Andy's there in the governor's mansion.
We are 100% volunteer based. George Soros doesn't send us a check, unfortunately. So every dollar.
We do sell these shirts also. Both the legalize marijuana, legalize, maximize, decriminalize policy for politics. And then we have another one that is separation, or it says build this wall, and it has a church on one side and the state building on the other with the wall in the middle.
If you go use our Linktree links, you can go to our social media pages, and we have stickers, we have everything. We have events coming up. Amber's going to Oktoberfest. I have Eminence Day in Henry County, September 23rd. She's going to KMA next weekend. The Kentucky
very busy September. Also, if you guys have any desire to see some interesting back and forths with Moms for Liberty, find my TikTok. There's a lot of information about specifically us crashing their meetings and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. That's the Lord's work there for sure. Absolutely. Stopping those Karens from bringing their hate to town. All right. Well, thanks again, Nema, Doug. Any final thoughts for these two fine activists?
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you guys having us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to flip our counties.
Woo! We got a
Yes.
lot of counties to flip, but absolutely appreciate that. And that's going to be, first let's do November, and then we'll do next November, and then we'll do November after that. All right, so I'm gonna close out with our call for action as well. So we've shared in the links. We've got ways to support the revolution, the 2 different chapters, Amber and Destiny. Really important stuff. If you are in Lexington or in the Bluegrass area, feel free to sign up for Progress Kentucky's 4 more years of a compassionate Commonwealth campaign. We are all in on reelecting Andy, putting Colonel Pam in the AG's office, putting Kim Reeder in the auditor's office. We're doing calling and canvassing every week between now and November 7th. So you can sign up today to help out. We'll be calling tomorrow. We'll be canvassing on Saturday. And one thing I wanted to underscore, and I think Amber kind of got at it, like, people are really, not 100% of everyone is excited to see a canvasser. But as we come up to these doors, what I've found is that people are really happy to share their views of kind of what's going on in Frankfort, and very happy to share their views on Andy. And the folks we talked to, like, they were all psyched about what Andy was doing. They realized how much of a tough position he was in, that he did not run for governor so he could make COVID decisions, but everyone got that he was 100% of the people that I talked to understood that he was doing what he thought was best for our Commonwealth, working really hard in a really tough spot, but balancing our needs and putting them before, anyone else. So that's the first time I ever had that experience canvassing, where 100% of the people I was talking to, and it was a targeted list, but it was not just, dyed in the wool Democrats. It was a pretty wide list of support. So that was my experience. I will not guarantee you will have that experience on Saturday if you come out, but you should. What I will guarantee, if you like dogs, you are gonna meet a cool dog. There's always a cool dog out there when you're knocking on doors. So if you want that, guarantee you that, and you'll probably have some really interesting conversations too. So, Doug, you were out there. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because there were some interesting dogs, but I think probably the most interesting, really satisfying encounter I had was probably about a 9-10-year-old kid that just had to give me a fist bump.
Awesome. Annabel in the comments points out that she prefers canvassing cats. So FYI, I'm more of a dog canvasser. Although you got to be mindful. Sometimes the dogs don't want to meet you and they just want to bark at you. But in all my doors, and that's a lot, I've only ever had one negative interaction with the dog. So anyway, we should move on. We should close this out. We've gone a little bit long tonight, but Doug, would you do the honors of closing us out?
Certainly. Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State, organized as a 501c4. We're also affiliated with Individual Project, the Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, commonly referred to as CAVE, and are also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Make sure to join us next week, where we'll be covering breaking news out of the governor's race. Production of episode 129 was by the amazing Annabel Nagel. And thank you, Nate, for the new song and the theme songs. You can find more information and music at natosongs.com. If you missed our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcasts and our show notes are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you do listen to the pod, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening right now. Logo and some graphic content provided by Couchfire Media. More information can be found at couchfiremedia.com. Hope to see you next session.